as often as he plays out from the back. Then we were going to play a certain system with Torreira and Xhaka, which seemed to work, to be fair to him. That seemed like it was working. Then that was out the window, and we started playing 5 at the back. And Xhaka and Torreira were rarely seen together.
Xhaka and Guendouzi now.
Yeah, how I'm supposed to know what his vision is when it changes from week to week? I can't answer you, Shotta. I really can't answer. I'd like to answer you. I'd like to think I see what he's trying. I see what he's trying to create. But as it changes from week to week, game to game, half to half, I mean, he's changing the shape halfway through the game. He's changing the personnel halfway through the game. Everything's reactive. I honestly have no idea what his vision is. But all I can think is, if it works, it's going to be grinding out results. It's certainly not going to be good to watch because I haven't seen it. I just haven't seen it. Sadly. That's another thing we were told. We'd be playing attacking football. He would rather win 4-3 than 1-0. Well, when you're playing at home and you're playing your 3 most defensive midfielders in the middle of the park, that doesn't smack to me of trying to win 4-3. That looked to me like you're trying to sneak a 1-0. I don't know. There's your answer. I have no idea what his intent, what his plan is.
But our fans were saying everything is fine. What about his decision? And he justifies it for tactical reasons. This is what he said in the press. He's not playing Ozil. And he is not starting Ramsey. He's not starting Ramsey most games. And if he plays him any at all, he's bringing him from the bench. You remember the days when people say you need good players to win? How can this new manager not play his best players and win?
Well, again, the results that we were getting had people justifying not playing them because we were managing somehow, despite every statistical indicator saying that we shouldn't have been winning the games, some of the games we were winning. Stats didn't matter all of a sudden, and it glossed over the absolute dross that we were playing. And it got him away with not playing our best players because when you're winning, you're winning. Nobody complains when you're winning. It's as simple as that. You can play absolute garbage, but if you're winning, everybody's happy. And he got that. He got away with it. Well, he's not getting away with it at the moment because he's not winning. And now people are saying, well, why is Ozil not playing? How can you pay somebody £350,000 a week and not play him? How can you play someone who is regarded by most people as the best playmaker in the world and play him in a team that's creating virtually nothing and justify it? Well, you can't. You just can't justify it. Now, the only thing I'm hoping is that Ozil's been ill, that he has had a bad back, that his immune system's been playing him up, that he's been fit enough to make the bench or fit enough to train, but not fit enough to play. We won't know for a few weeks now. But again, it's not looking good. You can only go on what you're seeing and what you're hearing. I mean, we're hearing today yesterday, that it told the board to find an exit route for Mesut Ozil in January. I'm really hoping it's complete bollocks, because if he's thinking that, well, what sort of a fucking manager is he? Really, what sort of a manager can't play one of the best playmakers in the world in his team?
Well,
and the best box-to-box midfielder probably in the league and one of the best box-to-box midfielders in the world, and he's not getting a game either. You know,
well,
it's nonsense, absolute nonsense.
Well, I tweeted today because I saw this article by the Daily Mail, Sam Mboki, or I think that's how it's pronounced. Maybe I don't have it pronunciation right, but he was saying the absolutely flabbergasting thing is that the club is selling Ozil. Or Ozil doesn't fit in. No, the flabbergasting thing is the manager cannot find a way to play his best player. Can you imagine Pep not being able to fit Ozil into a City team? George, I'm lost. To be honest.
Well, you know, we are lost, but then you see a lot of people then will say, "Well, he's not that good, Ozil. He's not consistent." But that's absolute, complete bollocks. He is statistically the most consistent playmaker in Europe and has been for 10 years. Year after year after year, he creates more chances than anybody else. That is consistent. He's more consistent than all the people that they say are consistently better than him. That's a fact. That's not me saying it. That's a fact. That's a statistical fact.
Well,
yeah, they'll tell you he's not good enough to play for Arsenal. You know, so if he's not good enough, there isn't a player in the world good enough then.
George, you and I know that. Well, I certainly know from my blog that the stats and the data doesn't seem to matter to most football fans, and yet eventually it catches up with you. You recall that this season there was a period, and I remarked on it, where a streak of games. Aubameyang 7 shots at goal, 7 conversions. And if I write and said that's unsustainable, people would go all over their head. It's statistically unsustainable. So now if he goes on a run where he misses 20 shots, he's no good. He'd be back to his mean. George, am I missing something or not?
No, but they are missing something. I mean, like you say, it was 7-7, and I think he's normally over his career, and he's prolific. He scores about 20% of his efforts, 1 in 5. So, in order to score 7 goals, really he should have had about 30 attempts, but he only had 7. So, statistically speaking, a non-anomaly, he would have scored about 2 goals with those 7 attempts.
Correct.
Now, you can have slight variations, but you can't be 5 times as good as your career average and sustain that. You always return to me. Even Lionel Messi will only score like 25% of the time, you know, not 100%, and that's what he was doing. And it was disguising the results. It was... But what do? When people say to you, only the result matters, how can you argue with them?
But they never gave Arsene Wenger that credit. Because if you're going to say only the results matter, he was always consistently in the top 4. And I plotted that and shown how he achieved, how he consistently achieved that. So why, if you're going to use the same argument, saying the results, it's only results that matter, perhaps you should have kept the man for infinity. But I think we've exhausted that subject a bit. What do you think, though, of the view that the man deserves 3 years? This is you and I, and he needs 4 transfer windows to make the Arsenal into his own image and to be successful. What do you make of that argument? And it has a little bit to do with statistics, but is that really a meaningful stat? A meaningful piece of data? Tell me, George.
Well, first of all, if you think about it, if you give him 2 years, 4 windows, most of our top players will be past their best. They're at their best right now. Aubameyang, Ozil, at the best right now. So, in 2 or 3 years, you're going to have to replace them as well. Not only are you going to have to replace the people who are deemed not good enough right now, you're then going to also have to replace, having replaced them, as you replace them, you're going to have to replace your very best players. Now, in an open market, how much is an Ozil going to cost you? How much is an Aubameyang going to cost you to replace? At least 70, 80 million each.
Exactly, George. Exactly.
That's just for 2 players. So we have these players now. Now we have them. Now is the time that we should be improving. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took over at Manchester United. It took him 5 minutes to turn it round. Because
literally,
he got the team playing, the best players playing in the team, and gave them some freedom to go out and express themselves. We're doing the opposite. We're not playing our best players, and the ones that we do play, we seem to be telling them not to express themselves. I don't understand it. There's no need for all this time, First of all, it was going to take 2, 3, 4 windows to challenge for the title. That was what we were told. He would need, a couple of years to challenge for the title. Now it's going to be a couple of years before we challenge for 4th place. Or challenge for an FA Cup. With the players that we have, no, I'm not having that. I'm just not having it. We should be in amongst the top 4 now, with this team that he's got now. And if we're not, it's because they're not playing to their potential. That was why Arsene Wenger got shoved out the door, according to because these players were good players and he wasn't getting the best out of them. Another manager would do better. That was what we were told, wasn't it? Have I forgotten? Another manager would do better with this squad of players. That's exactly what we're told. And then we added Torreira, Socrates, Guendouzi, Liechtenstein, and Liechtensteiner.
Yeah, I did a country there.
And who's the other one? Leno.
Yeah, Leno.
We added those players. We were supposed to be so much better. Torreira and Socrates were filling the gaps that Wenger had neglected for years. They were fantastic players that Sven had found, and they were absolutely wonderful. They were going to sort us all out. And we're bloody worse than we were, with 5 additions. In the spots that we were supposed to be weak in, we strengthened, and we're worse.
Don't forget, George.
We're worse.
Don't forget, they were signed early instead of the dithering old Wenger and bedded in, and they were part of preseason. Don't forget that little part, George. I remember that.
That's right. Everything was done right. Everything was so much better under the new regime. And now it's the old regime, because half of them have gone. But under the old new regime, I can't keep up now. I can't keep up.
But George, you know that the immediate response when people hear us on this podcast is, you're being unfair on the man. It's only 6 or 7 months, and he has only had 1 window on his belt. And I think I pretty much know what your response is going to be. They are so wedded to their predictions that it's difficult for many of these people to walk it back. And some of these people are very good people, but they cannot separate. It seems to me they cannot make an objective assessment of what is happening right now because they're so wedded to the ideas they had about, or their vision of the need for change and this new manager. Maybe you please comment on that if you can.
Well, there is, you can't say that it's not unreasonable to ask the man to be given time if he's going to change the style of play. And they'll tell